So my name is Marisa Jensen. I'm a nature wildlife photographer in Australia. For the black and white show, I decided, even though we live in a very colorful world, there are quite a number of creatures who only are in black and white themselves. So I decided to showcase one of them. This is the gray butcherbird. Even though the name is gray butcherbird, there's not a lot of gray on it, a little bit on its back, but it's mainly in black and white. So I thought that was quite fitting for the theme. It's actually very interesting to think about how these black and white creatures stand out in the colorful background of their environment. Quite a popular bird in Australia. Its name doesn't sound too friendly. Yeah, it got its name because of the big hooked beak and the way it slaughters its prey with that. So it'll catch like lizards and big grasshoppers and things like that, and it will whack them around against the hard surface until they die and it can eat it. But other than that, they're actually pretty friendly creatures, and they have a beautiful song, which is what they are well known and loved for here in Australia.
I've recently converted to Hinduism. I wanted to do a piece that not only represented my faith, but also something that represented the spirituality of universe and infinite time and nonlinear time. Because time in the West has turned time into something 9 to 5, and you keep repeating it until you die in an endless cycle. And so I wanted to look at time from a more Eastern perspective and philosophy. Since Om is the sound of the universe, I thought that would be a great way to represent the universe. I took a photo of an old-fashioned clock and manipulated it in Photoshop. I came up with the idea of representing like numbers counting up to multiples of 3. The 3 and the 9 represent the number of the goddess, like the triple goddess, and the multiples of 3. I put the infinity symbol at the top to show the infinity of the universe and time itself. The way I view time is very non-linear. I also believe in reincarnation. Our spirits are really given an infinite amount of time to exist. And I wanted to incorporate a little bit of black and white into the piece. I thought the numbers looked good in black, and I wanted to do the Om symbol in white.
In my early 20s, I got involved in being an artist. A lot of the work was conceptual art, was very big. I was very involved in the women's movement. I came upon the idea of using my own body. And so this is one of the early photographs I did where I take photographs of myself and then cut out pieces of them. So it's just another way of kind of looking at our bodies and doing it as a woman, looking at your own body. And I actually have continued to do that throughout my life. I have other bodies of work too. Actually using my own body, I've gone on to use it as a canvas where I painted on it and painted famous painters, reproduced their paintings on my body, and then invented my own paintings. And then I have another series called One Tree, where I stood behind thousands of different kinds of trees and photographed myself behind them. So a way of integrating with nature.
I'm usually more of a painter, and I take pictures mostly for myself. I'm very inspired by seasons changing and nature and sunsets and transitional things. I really like to take pictures sometimes of like reflections off water, the reflections of the trees in the water, and because it was like the sun was going down, that they were almost more vibrant. And as I was focusing on the trees underneath, we don't really think about like as above, so below and like duality. The tree has roots that go underground. There's like this special kind of symmetry there. And I remember as I took pictures, I was seeing joggers and people walking, and you could hardly see them anymore because it was so dark out. But you can see them in the reflection of the water. And I know it might be hard to notice, but there are 2 people walking. You can only see them underneath in the reflection. You can't see them on the trail anymore because of the lighting. Because it almost looks like they're like walking in a different dimension. It's very interesting to be able to see that in the water, but not be able to see that on the trail anymore. And just, again, as above, so below. But sometimes we don't always see, what's underneath the surface. And this time I could see it underneath, but I couldn't see it above. And we don't always think about that. And I just had fun with taking these photographs. I'm usually a painter, and I usually work with a lot of color.
This is actually one of my persona drawings. I've got thousands of them. I've been making these wrapped figures that you see in PersonaLand for over 40 years. Not only have I been making these little sculptures, but I've been using them as models to draw them in different ways. I think it's a way of trying to energize them or activate them. So this happens to be a drawing that I did of one of my characters with graphite. It's been this journey that I've been on for a long time. And now the personas are through the digital world coming alive. I've actually been in NYU mocap studios. If you ever see any of the animations with the figures and they're dancing or moving, that's me actually. Take a journey where you don't know where you're going, and you have to have faith. And so that's been the whole process. And so these drawings are really, and the figures are really all about that.